Alright, so here's a quick walkthrough on how to rig things like earrings. Could also apply to scabbards, holsters, anything like that that attaches the Genesis 2 female. Should follow Genesis 2, maybe a follower of Genesis 2 female, um, but still needs extra bones on its own. This earring, for example, um, should probably have 4 bones. Should have one for this little hook here, rotate there, one for the bead, one for the little link, and then one for the medallion part. For sake of time, I'm just going to do 2 bones for it. That's all I need to illustrate the principle. And I've colored it green so it's easier to see. Otherwise, it's just a set I grabbed from the store, loaded in. It's a static prop. It could be just an OBJ because you're starting from scratch basically at this point. This one here does happen to come with some morphs. The morphs will survive this whole process. So if you are starting from an existing prop, you don't have to redo the morphs. But the first thing we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and run it through the transfer utility. I'm going to use Genesis 2 female as the source and the earring as the target. I'm just going to leave all the options the way they are because it's about the same amount of cleaning up one way or the other. I'm going to clean up the name here. There we go. And I'm just going to leave everything else the way it is. Come over here, you can see the groups that exist right now. Those 2 there came with the earring. These 2 it created when it did the transfer. I'm going to go ahead and because I'm going to have 2 bones, I'm going to have 1 bone for this top half. I'm going to have 1 bone for the medallion. I'm going to go ahead and make those separate selection sets, face groups, however you want to phrase them. I'm going to go ahead and set those up now. That way, when it's all set up, users will be able to select on the medallion and move just the medallion, or they'll be able to select the earring part and move the earring part. And it also makes some steps in the process easier later on. I've got my selection mode set to drag, which means just click, selects a polygon there. I'm going to go ahead and select 1 polygon in each section of mesh. I'm holding down the control key here, so it's just adding to the selection until I get 1 in each little section of mesh. And then if I hit the control key and the asterisk key, it selects all the attached polygons to the ones that I've selected. And so I get the entire hoop part, the bead part, the little hooks on the bead, and that loop. And because I've got all these groups here, I'm just going to go ahead and borrow one of those and assign selected face to group. And then I'm going to rename that. There it goes. Left 01. And everything that's left, I'm going to assign to that one. I could, of course, come up here to face groups and create a face group from the selected, but I've got these face groups that are empty, which I'm going to rename here any second now. There we go. And apparently somewhere in all that I managed to, I failed to unclick the groups first. So I'm just going to go and reselect that one, and nope, got to do the other ones. Select that one, one there, one there, one there. Control asterisk, selects all those, and now I'm going to add this. Okay, so I got my face group sorted back out. I'm going to get rid of the empty ones, and you can see that left one is that top half. Unselect it, that's what I forgot to do earlier, and then select the bottom half. So the face groups are set up. And we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and set up the rigging. If we go and expand all from selection, you can see it's got all these extra bones that it brought over when it did the conversion when it did the transfer from Genesis to female. The reason is Poser's kind of needy when it comes to the bone plus 1 thing, so Studio's kind of liberal when it includes the extra bones. We don't need all those for earrings, so we're going to go ahead and I got the joint editor tool selected. I'm going to right click in the viewport and delete the bone and delete this bone. And I'm just going to repeat that for all the bones that I don't need here. So I'm going to pause it for a second so you don't have to watch. Alright, so I deleted the bones I didn't like. Now I just have the head through the hip. I'm going to select the head bone. We do want to add 2 more bones back in though. I'm going to call them left 1 and 2 so that we can move the earring and the medallion independent of everything else. So I'm going to go with the head selected, still got the joint editor tool selected. I'm going to go ahead, right click and create child bone, which I'm going to call left 01. Hit the tab to drop down there, hit the tab again, and then the down arrow key until I get to the rotation order that's correct. I'm going to switch over to the front view here so I've got a straight on shot, and move that and move that, and then zoom in. For the purpose of the demo here, I'm just doing a kind of quick and sloppy, so obviously spend more time doing it when you're actually doing it. I'm going to go ahead and set it to auto align so that my bone will snap to the endpoint, and I'm going to put that right about here somewhere. And while I'm looking at it, I'm going to go ahead and create a second bone, child of that one, called left O2, and select the appropriate axis, and then bring that endpoint down, and switch over to the left view and zoom in and line them up this way. And again, when you're really doing that, spend a little bit more time than I am. While I've got the left 2 bone selected, I'm going to go ahead and assign the polygon group that goes with it, the face group. It's going to be face group left O2, goes with bone left O2. Switch over to left O1. While I'm thinking of it, I'm going to go ahead and assign left O1 to left O1 so that the polygons for left O1 are associated to the bone left O1. And then I'm just going to snap the endpoint to there. The center point I'm going to bring forward to where it's touching, and so there, the bones are set up now pretty much where I want them. One thing I'm going to do is I can come over here down to posing, I can bend the rotation, and if I go to the perspective, zoom in again there, you can see that the bone, the mesh obviously doesn't move because I don't have weight mapping in place yet, but the bone itself doesn't point the way I want it. I like the bone to be able to come straight out, or at least, yeah, I like the bone to bend right there where the earring bit is. So what I'm going to do is come back here to the tool settings. I'm going to take the Y rotation on that, and I'm just going to crank that over. So that the bone's coming out at the same angle as the earring. Right about there. Yep. Alright, put that bone back in place. Okay. And now I've got the rigging set up, and the bone set up. All these numbers aren't the default. We want those to be default, otherwise things go weird when you start morphing it. So we're going to go ahead and memorize the figures rigging, which of course gets the other bones too. So now, I've said it a dozen times, I'm going to say it one more time. Now the figure rigging's all set up, so we're going to go ahead and we'll do the weight mapping real quick. One thing we want to do is, because we copied it from Genesis 2 Females, we're going to run through real quick here, looking for bulge maps in particular, because they won't get deleted. Otherwise, we're going to manually remove those bulge maps, otherwise they'll mess up the rigging that we do put in. And there's going to be some on the neck, there's going to be some on the head. And if I finish this there, if we look real quick here, you can see that it's got weird weight mapping, and if we were to move the head now, it tears the earrings apart, which obviously isn't what we want to do. That's why we're going to fix it. We're going to throw some solid weight mapping on that by selecting some bone of the earring, going to the weight map tool. You can see there's nothing there right now. However, we set the bones up, we set up face groups. The face groups are assigned to bones, so what we can do is just right click, go to weight editing, and then fill bone by selection set, and that automatically gets all the maps for us for all the bones in this figure, and it just assigns each polygon group to 100% to its associated bone. And so rigging on that is done now. We could go through, we could tweak that bone a little bit more, get the angle better, set limits, rename dials, probably lock that one. But yeah, other than cleaning up that angle there, the rigging's done. Here in a second, part 2, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set it up so that when you take and you apply a morph, the earring doesn't explode like that.